As one we walk this earth together. As one we sing to her our song. As one we love her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we join with her, our mother. As one we feel her sacred song. As one we touch her.
Welcome. You've found your way to Souls Emerging, a production of Shadowgenesis through Rise Multiversity. We extend a heartfelt welcome to you. You are the Ascension. We invite you here to join with us, holding space for transformation, ours, yours, and our mother planets. Here we are friends, engaging in the inner work, while supporting one another as we break our chains. Being present for ourselves and each other through deconstruction and soul reintegration allows us to shift and heal. The impulse to share the miracle of transformation in community has brought us out of separation. We now invite you to join this healing circle as we voyage into fertile ground where innate intelligence reboots, blossoms, and finds solution. Ancient and new abilities emerge among trusted, transparent friends. Our aim is to inspire metamorphosis towards freedom and sovereignty. Let us apply our passion for truth to break free, build personal velocity, transcend the matrix control grid. We are all individually the Ascension. We are all a fractal of our planet, of all that is. We have the ability to commune with her directly, share her aspirations and her birth pains. Regardless of how gruesome it appears out there, we have the ability to shift out of distortion, out of imposition. We have the choice in each moment to rise. Welcome.
Her heart beats with our own as one.
Welcome. This is Sienna Leah, Inceptor of Rise Multiversity, and I'm here today with a radical circle of soul sisters. Together we invite you to join in on our research that we've been engaging in for over a year and a half. What if we had all that was required to embody life-supportive global transformation right now? What if we could melt the imposed barriers of suspicion, fear, and separation at a grassroots level, stepping into a potency that could gently topple the matrix control grid? Well, we are a grassroots gathering of women who have been working their stuff, supporting one another through the layers of deconstruction and reintegration. Following the concept of the 100th monkey, we believe that small groups of people willing to step into organic connection can stimulate great shift. Stepping through the invisible shields that have enforced our separation, we can embark as a new peace armada staying the course amidst stormy seas. The ascension becomes integral to our ascension. Can we learn from one another as we complete our journeys? Can we reclaim lost and stolen fragments of self? Can we move past the taboo against knowing who we are and our inability to feel ourselves and one another? Can we bust free from our isolation and targeting, black sheep going against the status quo? Could our strength be in our courage to individually pull off the blinders in full empathy and transparency with one another, we have found ourselves in pieces, engineered to hide in forbidden places, ashamed, fearful, feeling less than. What if we came out, a clear reflection to illuminate the Shadowlands for one another, taking back our power from the voices that tear us apart? What if we hold those keys? What if a new radical transparency is ours to bust holes in this mean-spirited system once and for all? We open to this possibility now with you, diving in with loving kindness, without judgment, making mistakes, reclaiming freedom, re-establishing our right to sovereignty. Done with the distortions, flowing home, embracing our organic intelligence. We are becoming a new gestalt of potent peace warriors, excavating baggage, dropping drama, unearthing the energetics to live in non-reactivity. They have kept us apart for so very long because they know we have what it takes. So welcome to this tender nest of women mustering their courage to open their deepest emerging selves with you, knowing it just may be a revolution of vulnerability brewing. What will it take to birth a high vibrational fun field where our love softens the blows and builds the fortitude to rise together? Let's find out. Yeah. So, Liz, what's going on? It looks like you got some clearing happening over there. Okay. I just asked what's arising in you right now. I know that we had spoken in the last part from the shooting in that gay bar in Orlando, Florida, and that you've been processing through that energy. And so what's arising in you now?
Yeah.
And what were you processing? What was that like? Can you explain that to us?
It's feeling the emotion of what happened, because regardless of who did it, false flag, whatever, people died. And all the energy that creates. And I think just feeling the emotions that come up, the sadness, the horror, and instead of fighting it, just feeling it. Because 2 years ago, I would have gone, oh, well, there's nothing I could do about it. But now I'm feeling it, and just let it run its course. You know, don't stop the feeling. And
That's great.
yeah, because if I try to stop it, it builds up inside, and that's bad. That never creates anything good.
So what does happen when it builds up inside? Because maybe now we can flow into a little bit of the discussion on the dark feminine.
I think the fear builds up, because I was feeling fear earlier, and it didn't, I had no idea where that fear and anxiety was coming from. And then, you know, like I said earlier today, you know, around 11 or noon, somebody told me, because I don't watch the news. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. So Liz,
now I know.
Yes. And I think this is a valid point to look at, because if we are a fractal of the planet, and we are certainly connected to all of humanity and all of life here, then we are registering as we clear out, and we've cleaned our filters, by doing a lot of the inner work, then we are in reality. And reality is informing us constantly in a stream of frequency and feeling what is going on, because we're in a relationship. And I think it is part of our health to contemplate this stratum, and I'd love to have a discussion about this because it is almost sub awareness levels, and yet we're feeling it. But a lot of times I'm not going, is this me? What am I feeling? And a deep, then I go to my bigger self, or my soul. What's happening? And then I can get all kinds of multidimensional information. And I wasn't paying attention. I'm thinking, oh, I got a headache. What's going on now? But when I bring awareness to it, it clears, because we are in a field that wants to continually be made conscious, to come into balance and to tune with life so that we can be in contribution and in harmony and in service to the whole, including ourselves. And when we're out of sync with that, especially with the 911 call of this whole planetary moment we're in, then we start getting ourselves sick for a variety of ways. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. And then we also, our soul projects out into the arena, events that then we have to live through, or physical events, we get sick, or because really what we're here for is the constant illumination of our souls. Oh my, there you go. Your dog agrees. And see what I'm saying? So that's what we're here for. And so our work together and our time together can be sharing that, because it's hard to share this with people who are not in this process, because they could care less and it's not going to make any sense. But I think it's crucial to us being able to stay in balance and really manifest our potential to be listening to the real intuition and what we're really receiving and what's really happening in our world. And it's not just in sync with the planet. We're in sync with all kinds of things. And as females, and I know the women in this room all are in this kind of dialogues, I would like personally support in making those things conscious in my own world. Is this resonating with anyone? And if so, jump in.
Absolutely.
And if you want to share your own experiences in this sort of realm, I think it would be very helpful.
I feel that in being sensitive to ourselves, to the planet, to the world, we have that vulnerability that's a double-edged sword. And in developing that sense of sovereignty where we can delineate what is naturally sourced and what is synthetically sourced, where we're being played, in other words. Because if we consider that infinite nature that we were just talking about earlier, and the creative potential, the creative womb space, what we end up doing is inadvertently creating along with the tragedy. So as we acknowledge that an event occurred, we are co-creating that event. This is going to be really, really hard to say and very potentially rough to hear. Not one of us stood next to those 50 bodies. Did they die? Did they die? Or was it a manipulation? Did 3 die? Did 100? Did anybody die? We only have a report that says this happened. It appears that it happened. It is not a reality. It is not an actuality. It is a potential that is, it's a story that we are being fed through the news, which is not a reputable source of information anymore, or it is a reputable source of information for certain types of news that we can count on. We can count on the type of news that we get when we turn into network news. It's pretty consistent. So they're reputable for the type of news that they deliver. But we don't actually know that what is said to have happened, happened. And in maintaining a certain sense of possibility that it may or may not have happened, we maintain a sense of our sovereignty. And we retain that creative power that we have. We in this community, and anybody who's watching this, knows that we are aware of the power that we possess. We may only have glimpses of that from time to time. We're piecing those glimpses together and building them like a muscle. But they know better than we do how strong we are. And if they can trick us into participating in co-creating the reality of the story that they are feeding us, they win that point. If we can maintain a sense of maybe that happened, and compassion for anyone with a hurting heart, and gratitude for anyone whose life transitioned, for serving in this capacity or for contributing their life in this capacity so we could have this co-created experience. But then we maintain our sovereignty, and we are no longer at the whim of the imposition in trying to whip things into this frenzy.
Lauren, but unmute.
Yes, I agree 100%, Els. Also, the other component is that we are these powerful emotional beings that have these knee-jerk emotional responses that are food source. And so I read my Facebook feed today, and it was everybody is heartbroken and crying and upset. And this is nothing against anybody who has the natural human reaction. It's a natural human reaction, right? But that Schumann resonance of the earth spikes. Mm-hmm. And there was on Facebook today, somebody put an article of where the Schumann resonance spiked right today after everybody's emotional response resonated together. And they just rake it up, put it in bags, take it home with them and eat it. You know? And so it's interesting to find the balance, because I've been sort of struggling today where I'm like, am I being cold-hearted about this? I mean, what if nobody, I mean, I do love all my gays and I love my friends, and I'm glad that wouldn't happen to me. And I go to gay clubs all the time and like, oh my God, but part of me is just like, did that happen? Did it really happen? All of it happen? Where are these people? The only thing I saw was just this shot of these hospital rolly beds lined up, but nobody was in them, and so I'm struggling with the right response as an emotional being who is empathetic and loving towards my other fellow human beings, and then this other almost like where I'm like, oh, you jerks, you NBC weirdos, turn this off, like I'm not contributing, so it's like, where's the balance and how do we surf that?
That's a very good point.
I really agree with both what you're saying, and the thank you, Els, for putting that in about holding your sovereignty by entertaining the possibility that it did or it could have happened, but we don't know if it happened. There is the aspect of what Liz felt during the night, but still we don't know what happened. And I think that's a really important point too.
Like, when things happen, I've seen things when things happen like in Palestine. I've actually watched video of somebody very hurt and dying from a bombing that a Palestinian friend of mine put out there, and I was like, oh my God, you know, that elicited a response in me because it was actually happening, you know, like, but there's when these things happen, these mass whatevers, there's never any evidence or footage that it actually happened. There's nothing gruesome or anything. I mean, not to say that I want to see anything gruesome, but I mean, conversely, I have seen gruesome things in Palestine because that's actually happening. You know? Or there's parts of it that are happening, you know, like people, when they give us this much technology where everyone has a camera, I mean, you go to any public event and everyone's doing this with their camera and taking photos of the entire thing. And then you mean to say that something majorly is like the craziest thing that anyone would ever experience and nobody got any footage of any of it and leaked it out anywhere?
Right.
Why?
Yeah. I spoke with a first responder to an event that was, you know, closest to where I live. And because my question was, you know, what happens to the real first responders? Like how, you know, what happens with that? They were under 3 minutes away from the event. And when they got there, there was no evidence. Everybody who was injured had already been taken away. There was no evidence of, you know, the mayhem and the deaths, and they waited for the event to conclude, but they were on standby. They arrived, sirens blaring, and they were on standby. They did not see anything. So,
but also
we don't know. That's the point. Is we
Right.
feel, but we don't actually know especially at a distance.
For sure. I mean, and Liz, there's so much emotion happening where you are. That emotional response is so palpable that you could you know, like you could be feeling into that thought cloud that's being created, that emotional cloud that when everybody's resonating, I mean, it's showing on the Schumann resonance. So you're at the sort of epicenter. And so there's a lot of that energy happening around you. And so I can understand how that can be overwhelming, you know, where you really have to be vigilant to be like, oh my God, there's so much, you know.
Well, what I found really interesting is I woke up around the time supposedly it was happening.
Yeah.
With panic attack and anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the point where they were planting a false timeline right next to you.
That's right. And that's a horrible atrocity against humanity. Whatever level of horror was enacted, it was enacted. It was a huge negative hit. Yeah. It brings up some good points because this is the world we live in. It's really gotten to the place where, you know, we would have to question everything. Did any of this happen? And which is, talk about destabilizing, you know. I mean, this is not comfortable to the ego. This is why we need to shift our center of gravity into our heart core essence, grounded with our mother planet, embodied out of our heads, out of caring about the future or the past. I mean, we honor it. We know we're a part of it. We take the treasures of it. But full warriorship is being present, and we want to have our love create a potent and right outcome. So it's still valid to create our lives in every moment with the most creative and loving capacity and realization of that we're capable of as a response to all the murder, death, torture, and all the atrocities we can do nothing about. And now we don't even know if they're happening. Does that make it? So that what we were saying at the beginning about this place that we're finding, well, it's not a place. What are we finding? We're deciding to really embody ourselves, and we're recognizing that this is gigantically potent. And this is the world that of all of this imposition that's in our face, and I think it's going to even get worse. So this is where it's really great to have this group and small grassroots groups of friends, people who are committed to one another, to support each other in this, because this is seriously mind-fucking. I mean, come on.
Only if we let it, though. That's what Els was saying. Only if we let it. You know?
Yeah. But if you're alone and you're hurting and you're stressed, and it's very hard to...
Yeah, you tune into Facebook and everyone's got a thing, you know, you're like, this is horrible, you know, as far as like everybody's chiming in on a tragedy. So how can I say this? Like, it's going to get worse if that's the story that we are aligning with, you know, like it's already the worst. You know, you say, oh, last night, all these people, we just massacred them. You know, that, how can we get even any worse? But it's whether we want to align with that. I mean, it's like saying 6 o'clock news, it's going to get worse. I mean, it's been pretty shitty.
Well, I'm just saying, Lauren, that everybody doesn't have a network of support. I'm only showing an empathetic response to much of the world who are going to have a really hard time not falling under this energy until they get that they have this power and go out and create some small network for themselves, some place of support, some place of sanctuary where they can build their field or engage in the work or take some creative step, make some changes and shifts so they can survive this.
Yes.
And it will. They will.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of doing it publicly, is to reach those people that we can connect with and go, hey, you know, if we can do it, you can do it. It's not even that hard. It's just like, oh, I can do it. Oh, I can do it is a big revelation. I mean, this is the best kept secret around, you know, that we have this kind of power. And it's kind of, I mean, I wrestle with guilt, you know, mass murders and all this horrible stuff and millions of children wandering around giving blowjobs to, you know, tourists, and just, it goes on and on. I mean, the horrors. It's hard not to feel just horrible being on this planet and doing nothing and not responding. It feels heartless to me. Which is they're pulling on our heartstrings with the answer. So it just keeps generating, like you said, packaging up all of our psychic and emotional energy and feeding it to the dark ones as lunch. Yes, that's what's happening. Yeah, but I mean, I was born as a little Jewish girl, you know, and we were programmed. We weren't the only ones programmed to feel guilty about everything, you know, and underneath were the perpetrators. Okay. But I'm talking about the surface neuroticism, the lie at the top of the Jews that, you know, it's so horrible. Looking at all this stuff, it was like our religion to look at how horrible everything was. You were really misbehaving. If you were like, oh, what the heck? Let's just go play. Come on. You know, it's like that kind of vibe was being disrespectful. I mean, you know, there's a gigantic collective pressure in religious and racial groups to hold the energy of the women in the black with the sitting Shiva, the heavy vibe. It's like, you know, races of people, our ancestors have been dedicated, contracted to holding the guilt for being here, the shame for being a part of this nightmare and not being able to fix it. I'm not saying we should keep this up, Lauren. I'm only saying it's a big friggin' energetic pattern.
Yeah, but when we shift our perspective, like this week, I went to a talk with this beautiful woman in Detroit. I think I shared the link with you guys. And she lived on this blight block. I mean, her little son got rolled over and killed at age 2.5. And of a hit and run, there were no street lights. The library closed. Kids were getting shot. There was no grocery store. I mean, name it, and it was the worst, right? And she said, I want to turn this block into my women's ministry. And then she said, I want to buy this block. She bought it for $3,000. This lady did not have $3,000. Somebody gave her $1,500. She got a tax return, a paycheck, just like this crazy get together of $3,000, bought this block. And now she's hooking up with all these people. They're making solar powered lights. They're doing a greenhouse to cafe for the community to work in and trade vegetables. She's doing a homework house for all these kids. She's going to give them wheatgrass in the morning and healing. She's doing a healing thing where she's going to teach people how to heal themselves. This is all on her block.
Wow.
And I mean, so yes, it could get worse, but for me, I'm just like, oh my God, no, the future's bright. It's not getting worse, it's getting better. All we have to do is do shit.
Right. But she said enough. Like, she said enough. And I think everybody's going to get pushed to that point. How far do you have to get pushed to say enough?
Yep.
This stops. It changes. Yeah.
Thank you. That's the point we're at. And the more we're going to get pushed, yeah. I don't know if there's a quantum mass that needs to get pushed for the whole thing to shift, how that's going to play out. But that is totally the moment we're in, to stand up and make something different. And we're going to have to do it in the face of tragedy and pain and horror and terror. It's not going to go away in a second. So we're going to have to find this, to know it's okay to be joyous. Out of the ashes rises the phoenix. I mean, that's always been a trite phrase to me, but think about out of the total death and destruction, that's really a courageous warrior path. It is not, it is really against all of our ancestral program to find joy on the mounds of destruction. But what, other choice do we have? To go down, to feel bad for the ones that feel bad in the endless chain of feeling bad. It doesn't mean, but what do we do with our empathy? What do we do with all of those souls? Do they go? What?
Recognize them as sovereign beings.
And then build a street lamp. Yeah, build a street lamp, build a greenhouse, call up some people, get together, do this. I mean, everything that you are doing, that's what we do with our empathy. Our empathy is sort of... what's that saying where you anyway, I don't know the saying, but our empathy needs to be turned into like heartfelt action.
Yes, Andrew Harvey will call it sacred activism. Sonia, what do we do with the earthbound spirits? There's a lot of people tragically leaving body in horrific ways. How do you address this? How do you address this?
What I can do, or what holographic kinetics practitioners can do, is talk to the spirits or the soul, whatever you want to call it, by surrogating that spirit or soul into someone else, and check what happened during the drama of their death. And after that, clear that drama so they can move on. Otherwise, they will be earthbound. So there must be two. I need to have, for example, another person surrogacy doing the surrogate, so I can ask the spirit or the soul of the person that died violently to come into that body and then just clear the drama of the death. So that's the way we can work with that, so they can move on.
I think that's another piece, because I think that's another part of the manipulation, that there are so many souls leaving tragically and horrifically that if they get earthbound, there's still lunch for the dark side.
Yeah, the harvest of the souls. Let's say that. Yeah, exactly.
He talks about
That is why they are doing so many things, wars and all those, because those are food for the dark side.
For the interdimensionals.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sonia, does holographic kinetics say that a lot of the Dark Lords have left? Does Steve Richard talks about that the big reptiles are gone, or that the fence is closed down, or that the gates have been opened and there's even more acceleration? Or give us the update.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, that we are opening more portals, so other entities are coming in. Not as much as the aliens, because the aliens, they are already done with all this manipulating of our genes or all those things. But other entities are coming in from those portals that we are opening into.
Because of CERN, because of blowing the
yeah, exactly.
So he sees this as really happening.
Yeah. Other entities that, maybe we didn't know of before, and now, they're coming up.
So when we look at this, it's not just saving our own asses, but it's really looking at the big picture of what's going on for all of humanity. And I know that we're going to have to do a rescue mission on the other side, because I think there's a lot of people crossing over with these cataclysms, and there's going to be a constant horror show. But it's not a horror. If we're infinite beings, you do lose the body. But if we can assist even on the other side, and there are a lot of healers, or whatever you want to call them, there are a lot of beings on the planet, shamans, beings that do this kind of work. And I know that there are groups all over the world. And if any of you have access to that, I think that's a very noble work. And I know a lot of very sensitive men and women, as the veils are lifting, are just going to be able to feel that. I mean, you can just do a ceremony. You can light a candle or hold space and ground yourself and anchor the reality, and just allow them to transition to what their best outcome would be. And I mean, I don't know that I have any special talents, but I find just when I focus on that, there's like truckloads of beings that are exiting this dimension that are really wanting some acknowledgement and help. So I just wanted to throw that in the mix.
Yeah, that's what I did with my brother-in-law that passed away. Yeah, I talked to him of not going into the light, just going. Kind of going home, or maybe he just wanted to stay somewhere but not go back to the light in case he didn't want to be reborn. Then, well, if he wanted,
not go back into the recycle bin.
Exactly.
Incarnated here on Earth, have some choice.
Yeah, he had the choice. Either he wanted to come back, okay, then go to the light. Otherwise, just go have the intention to go home. So that's why I talked to him about. Yeah.
The truth of the matter is the veils are so thin now, and that when we have a strong heart connection, that when somebody has crossed over, or if we're in an area where and we can feel our hearts, we can help those beings transition by being in our heart, being grounded, and helping them to acknowledging them, opening our light and our love, to helping them, put on some music, dancing, candles, some, purifying sage. However people do ceremony, being just called by your own source. Everybody knows how to do this innately, actually. I mean, in Ecuador and a lot of places where they have a more organic connection, when somebody dies, the whole town, a whole bunch of people just sit outside for 3 days, laughing and loving, remembering holding space for that person to transition until the body is fully gone. Now, when the bodies are traumatized, they go really fast. They don't know what happened, something horrific, and you just pop out the other side. You don't even know where you're dead. So, I mean, this is all part of helping the mother planet as this huge transition happens. And for the heart of the great mother, and the heart that we all share in this, to keep everything moving towards its eternal revivification, so that it isn't a tragedy, because we're the change agents that keep making it move in the right direction. Or we can't make it, but we're midwives in the process. I think a lot more people have the capability of doing this right now if they just entertain the possibility. Okay, this is something that gets really strong in me, that piece. Yeah. So, yeah. How are you feeling, Liz?
I don't know how to not feel it.
Well, maybe, you know what? There's a time to feel it, and there's a time to let go. We all have to trust ourselves. We can't create laws and rules and a new set of laws. Oh, well, just be in your power. Just do this. The whole idea is feel. If your guidance is saying you're there to feel this, you may be helping those souls transition. I don't know what you're doing, Liz, but honor your feelings, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not keen on being duped, but I am feeling something. And would I rather not feel it? Yeah. And because I can't just say, no, I'm not buying into this and I'm not going to feel it. As an extremely sensitive person or empath or whatever you want to call me, it's like it's almost like I don't get to choose.
You're also maybe an alchemist. The three new archetypes coming in are the alchemist, the transcendence and the birth of the self, whereas we were in the Piscean, the age of the Christ, the hanged man. Now we're in the 13, 14, and 15. And you may be being called to alchemize that energy and to inject your care into a plot that goes global. So you're also in your warriorship holding the love there, which is going to what? It's going to make I don't know what it's going to do. One of the things that we should talk about what it might be doing to insert that frequency in the middle of that is detonating it, is altering it, is doing something, and you're doing that, I feel.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, that's it, because I'm not super aware of it.
Well, we don't. We're doing these huge things and we pay them no attention. This is huge. So we can support you. Let's make conscious. What are you doing here? Because I think you're doing something that is a really organic function that many of us would be doing more effectively if we were doing it at all.
But I do know that because I'm not responding like the Facebook, everybody's, prayers Orlando and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not responding to any of that. I'm not responding to, because you don't, like Elsa, I guess you really don't know if it happened or not. And
well,
maybe
it happened in the collective mind. All of humanity is now got 100 injured and dead people in our face. It's a huge hit to take down the whole collective, and it happened, Liz, whether people died or not.
Right. And that must be what I'm dealing with, is all that energy coming up the road.
Exactly.
So, and like I said earlier, even in the middle of the night when I felt that, all I could do is remember who I am, and feel it, process it, and then.
Who are you, Liz?
I am me.
And who are you?
I'm a sovereign being, and I hate to say, I know I have, I don't want to say a job. I know I'm here for something. Obviously.
Liz, close your eyes, take a breath, put your hand on your heart, and feel who you are right now. Just be in the presence of who you are. And we'll hold space for you to come back into your body and just, and not that you were totally out, and just be that.
I don't like the answer.
What?
I don't like the answer.
You got, what's,
I got like a processing station. To process this garbage.
oh, you don't want to? Oh, princess, that's too hard a job for you?
It sucks and it hurts.
Well, it hurts, but aren't you willing to go through a few birth planes to transmute this for all of humanity? Or no? I don't know. Maybe you're not. Or are you deciding to kick this job back into the employment agency?
Well, I would like to know the full description of this sucky job before I make that designation, whether I want to do it or not. I guess more information would be nice. Because I feel like I'm flying blind here.
Else?
I'm wondering if this is part of the martyr archetype.
Yes, I had that suspicion a moment ago, too.
Well, good. Well, I don't want to be a martyr because it sucks.
Okay, so this doesn't have to be processed through your body any longer. Is that right, then?
I don't think it does. I think I'm becoming aware of the fact that I've been doing this my whole life. Yeah. And I can choose now. And I choose not to do that. I don't have to do that. Let everybody else process their own shit. Because I'm tired of processing everybody else's shit.
Hey, yeah. Yeah.
I'm nobody's fucking garbage dump.
Right on.
So everybody just take it back. Do it yourself. I'm done. I'm busy.
So how do you feel now, Liz?
It's great. The thunderstorm left.
That's funny. We lost Sienna.
Yeah.
No, I'm still here. Just give me a minute. Carry on.
Wait, Sonia, can you repeat that? What did you say? How do you know this?
No, how are you feeling, Liz? I just wonder how you are feeling after what you have said. So how are you feeling this now? Do you feel empowered?
In some ways better, but I also have something sitting right here. I have a heaviness sitting right here.
Maybe it takes time to process that. Yeah, I think so.
Does it feel present or does it feel past?
It's very present. It's weird. It's present, but it's from the past. It's like I'm keeping it alive in the present. Maybe it's that impotent child that can't make a difference. The victim.
So it's come up for resolution.
Mm-hmm. This is the resolution, the realization. and to keep those thoughts present will anchor it. I'm nobody's garbage dump. I don't have to process anything for anybody but myself. I just want to do this. Sorry, I just.
Like our wombs are not garbage dumps. Our female power is not to be misused through by taking on what's not ours.
But trying, I realize that trying, the thought just left, but by trying to show all my emotions all my life has made it worse. I think it got the hooks in me. And now that I'm processing them or feeling crying, I just realized something. You're recording and I'm crying in front of whoever's going to watch this, and I'm okay with it. Wow. Well, that made me happy.
Because
I would never cry in front of anybody before. I would split somewhere else. The jelly donut was squished out somewhere else before I cry in front of somebody.
so now, how do you feel about what other people think of you when they watch you going through this?
My gosh, it's totally freeing because I don't really care what they think.
Yeah.
I really don't. Wow. That was mega huge.
Yeah, it's one of the major.
That evil, dark, feminine.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
What?
That not showing your emotions, that's part of the dark feminine.
Absolutely. The creation of the not self, all of the not self parts of us are fodder for the dark feminine to channel through. Because we're not home. When we're not home,
It's a playground for somebody else.
Sonia knows about that. You know, there's nothing, there's no vacuums, you know. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. This takes on a whole new significance.
What is it?
Sorry, I'm grossing everybody else. It's a snake skin. I just shed something today, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I have all those snake dreams.
Shedding skins. It's so important that we shed the skin of the not self, of the false self, of the self that is complicit with the matrix and all of the artificial construct and all of the suppositions and operating system that involves, which is hurtful, cruel, and destructive to life. Else.
If I could add something in here without really shifting gears. Last week, a week ago Friday, something happened in my world that brought up for me the question of value, being valuable or valuing myself, being valued or.
Take your time. Totally on point, Els.
So this is something that as we're moving into our sovereignty, as we're moving into embodying that sovereignty, as we're moving into what I've decided for myself looks like living high fidelity. Everything that isn't that is coming up for resolution. And so personally, I've been experiencing these things that are arising, and the question of value arose. And it really threw me for a loop. It was very painful, and a flood of life events where I had felt devalued or unvalued rose. And my emotion felt outsized for the event. And so I questioned, what is this about? And that was when I connected with the planet and the womb space and the whole feminine being valued, being valuable. And I'm still working with the healing of that. But with Liz here, releasing that martyr, which is part of what we're doing collectively as the planet is moving out of that paradigm, that archetypal shift. And you just said the void doesn't, there's no space. It doesn't, when you remove something, you have to fill it with something else. And that value, I think, is what will help in the shift.
Totally. Can you talk to us a bit more about value? Because I think you're spot on here. And we need to create new, what would you call it? Agreements? I don't like agreements. In our declarations of our sovereignty, but what are those declarations? What is the law that we now follow when we disengage from man's law?
It is a powerful question, and like everything else that relates to sovereignty, these are things that we have to answer for ourselves in resonance. We can consider another's words or another's path, and then find that resonance within us. The sense of value, I feel, is connected to our sense of contribution. That when we extend ourselves in a contributive manner, we feel good, or that tends to allow us to feel a sense of expansion within ourselves. Commensurately, when we get feedback, receive feedback from those that we're contributing in conjunction with, that reinforces our sense of value. That, yes, your gifts, I'm receiving your gifts. How wonderful that is. Thank you so much for contributing that. So it's a circle. There's that giving and receiving circle, not a giving and taking, which is a linear construct with finite points. We have the construct of giving and receiving, which when you give, you also receive, because the recipient gives you back the feedback of the thanks. And one begets the other. So in giving, we receive, and receiving, we give. And there's value that is generated within that expression. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's the whole female principle. It's what is at the core of what we want to make in this world. Yes, and you say it beautifully. Absolutely. It's really a learning curve to think it's enough to be the love. To be the love in the full capacity without being a martyr. So these distinctions, there's some gray zone. We've been martyrs and calling it love for so long. What does a sovereign love look like that does not martyr ourselves? Lauren's like, I know.
Well, I mean,
whippersnappers, you.
One thing that I thought of yesterday, I had a conversation about in talking about kind of that dark feminine without really talking about it. I was having a conversation, and it was presenting where that narcissism, where nobody cares about you only care about your own thing and you don't care about anything else. And so I remember my dad was telling me growing up, he said, you know, love is when you're interested in other people. You know, you extend yourself and you're interested in other people and you're really truly, how are you? What's going on with you? And then, you know, it's exactly kind of what you were just talking about, Els. When you put yourself out there to be loving and interested in a contributing, like to contribute and to be in that flow, that's kind of it's true love, because you're not expecting a result. You're just interested and you just want to be there. Like, wow, you're so fascinating. I love all this. This is great. Tell me more, you know, is kind of that seed where truthful experiencing another human being comes from, I think.
And you say it with such enthusiasm, which is so beautiful to see. Well, both of you do, because we are been mind controlled to be narcissistic selfie picture takers to the extreme. I mean, the pablum that this media controlled thing, matrix, artificial construct has created in us is me. How do I look now? Well, I got it going on. I can go get me some now. And all of that, you know, pull everyone apart, leave them all isolated, don't give them nothing, have them go crazy, trap them in the mind, and then send them out in the meat market trying to get something for one another. You know, it's like, it's obscene. I mean, it's a civilization that could be led by a Donald Trump, who's obscene in his energetic. I understand that he's standing up to the New World Order, but not energetically. He's a match for them. And it's this sickening sea that we find ourselves in. And the female heart, or the female side of our hearts, because men too, wants to be born out of the distortion into its purity. So what is that going to look like? And you're starting to give us some energetics of that, and it's good.
I mean, look at what Donald Trump, oh, sorry, Cynthia. Look at Donald Trump. He runs beauty pageants, which is the opposite. That's kind of America, or like the new, like our sort of world is sort of a beauty pageant where it's not really like, it's like, I'm going to have to make myself look the best so I can win. And however I have to do that is...
So somebody will have sex with me and maybe marry me, and
a trophy, just a fake trophy even, or a ribbon. Isn't that what...
It's so sick. Yeah, and they pull us apart, and they pull women apart, and it's all on the outside. So and it's very seductive. It's everywhere. It's coming. I mean, there's some I would have to say that the beneficent or the good side of AI, I mean, I know that they're pumping us with satanic rituals. I'm not saying that. Just the technology itself, the movies, the TV, I mean, it's some seriously sexy, great stuff. The capability of showing the human condition, of infinite potential creation. It's amazing. It's very seductive stuff. And they're pumping us and with the mind control, so we're not turned on to what is real or authentic. It doesn't turn us on to the real woman's body. We want the stick figure, the one that is no threat to our male egos or our female ego. We are getting mind controlled by stimulus, and deprivation of the body our whole life. Deprivation, and it's shut down. And then, so we're going after what the Matrix wants us to be turned on to, which is all the not self, and which allows us to be fodder for the dark side and for our soul force, which can't even engage in this, to be harvested. But also it's so this is all the distortion. We're lost in the sea of this perverted distortion. So, but the save is this pure connection, the do no harm, this feeling, and this love you're talking about, Lauren, the joy in actually being interested in the life of someone else.
Well, and also it's like when you're interested, then they're interested, right? So it becomes this contributing type thing. But if you look at nature, it's like even the soil is contributing to the plant, and then the plant's leaves fall down and contribute back to the soil, and then so it's all kind of happening in this contributive way. So if, like what we were talking about earlier, Liz, with the yarn spinning, like you contribute the yarn, I knit the sweater, you're interested in this, does it make sense what I'm trying to describe? This, you have to be interested. It's that sharing and that contributing that is where love flows.
That's the feminine principle. We're going to carry this on next week. If you're interested in joining this kind of conversation or processing, check us out at Rise, multiversity.org. And this Ladies Have Engaged in Shadowgenesis is the current offering.
As one we sing to her our song. As one we love her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we join with her, our mother. As one we feel her sacred song. As one we touch her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we walk this earth together. As one we sing to her our song. As one we love her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we join with her, our mother. As one we feel her sacred song. As one we touch her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we walk this earth together. As one we sing to her our song. As one we love her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. As one we join with her, our mother. As one we feel her sacred song. As one we touch her. As one we heal her. Her heart beats with our own as one. Her heart beats with our own